Once again, I want to bring you up to the breaking news we just brought you before we got to that commercial break. President Trump has now said that EPA Chief Scott Pruitt has resigned. Blake Berman now in front of the camera live in D.C. And, of course, the more I thought about it, there were so many allegations against him, Blake. I couldn't think of one, whether it was the phone booth, the travel, the aides, the security detail, the apartment. The list was on and on of things that folks were so angry at him for.
Tough to figure out where to start and where to finish, Cheryl. With all the allegations with Scott Pruitt, you just ran through what was maybe a fourth of them, a fifth of them. This had been dodging Scott Pruitt for months. The White House had been asked questions for months on end. When is it enough for Scott Pruitt? Remember, this is a president that came to Washington saying that he was going to drain the swamp, and many had thought that Scott Pruitt was the complete opposite of that. Here's what we can tell you. Scott Pruitt has sent a resignation letter to President Trump. The president had thought that Scott Pruitt had done a very good job within the Environmental Protection Agency. In fact, in a tweet, the president had said that Pruitt had done, quote, an outstanding job. But the allegations just continued to mount one after the next. Just within the last couple days here, there were accusations against the head of the EPA that he had used a staffer to try to get his wife a very lucrative job. There was another allegation that Pruitt had been keeping secret calendars to sort of conceal his meetings with industry executives. Of course, one of the more prominent examples that the critics had pointed to was an apartment that Scott Pruitt had in Washington, D.C. to the tune, I believe, of some $1,500. I can tell you from somebody who has rented 2 apartments in this city and has a mortgage not far outside of it, it is tough to find something in this city for $1,500. Scott Pruitt had batted off allegation after allegation after allegation. We do not know exactly what was the tipping point here for Scott Pruitt, but clearly there was something for which this White House, or maybe even possibly this president, had said enough is enough. Now Scott Pruitt is out as the head of the Environmental Protection Agency. The president announcing that his deputy, Andrew Wheeler, will step on in the meantime. There will be a confirmation process for all of that. But the troubles, the potential legal troubles for Scott Pruitt might not go away with this resignation at all.
We're now getting, you should look at your email, we're now getting the actual letter that Scott wrote to the president. It's on your phone, I know. And
yeah, look at that at it now.
Yeah, it's been an honor to serve you. Your confidence in me has blessed me personally, enabled me to advance your agenda beyond what anyone anticipated. All these compliments for the president, but he says, I pray that as I have served you, that I have blessed you and enabled you to effectively lead the American people. I mean, look, a lot of the things that he did as far as the regulation rollbacks for the EPA were certainly thought of as a good thing, Blake.
The president really liked what he was doing in office, but the actions legislatively or the actions that you try to do within your office is just one part of the job. You have to handle yourself accordingly as part of the job as well, and it is that part.
Charlie Gasparino's
and Cheryl, just before I go, one quick thing. Scott Pruitt was here at the White House yesterday. There was the July 4th barbecue. He was here with his family, I believe. So very clearly something happened between yesterday and the letter that went to the president, we believe, today.
Well, I've seen CEOs fire somebody they're having dinner with the next day. Just so you know, it's not unprecedented. I will say this. If you're going to do something as radical, I'm not saying I disagree with what his regulatory agenda is, something as radical as Scott Pruitt has done, you would think the White House would have his personal affairs and he would have his personal affairs better buttoned up. I mean, this was what's known as a crap show. I mean, this is not supposed to it's not supposed to be done if you're gonna like rewrite the regulations.
Can you okay, actually we're gonna kill our commercial break, and so I was trying to like make some money for the network. But listen, you said something interesting when we were in the commercial break before, and you said, you know, President Trump ran on a campaign of drain the swamp. Scott Pruitt looked like the swamp. He behaved like the swamp.
You know, listen, he has his side of the story. I mean, he's you know, my view is he should come out and explain some of these issues better. He should probably maybe do a talk show with Oprah or something, or go on Hannity or somebody to sit there and tell them what he did and why he did this and explain this stuff. But I'm telling you this, and this is where the White House scares me. They have a very aggressive immigration policy, stuff that I agree with a lot of it, but you carry it out so ham-handedly. You have pictures of kids in cages. You have a very aggressive deregulation of environmental laws. Now, As a guy that understands the business community, I can tell you that some of that is necessary. I mean, Obama had a war on coal, right? That destroyed the coal industry. I'm going to tell you that if you're going to do something like that, something that radical, you better have the guy doing it being buttoned down. And that's one of the problems with this administration. They don't have.